It's your power that claims the day. You've shown your loving to me today. Oh yeah, I want your loving every day. Yeah, take me on your special trip, which drives the doubt away. You are my captain, high in the shine, yes Lord. You cover me with roses and made me smile. Oh, in the darkness, you shine so bright, and then you whisper, you are mine. Take me on your special trip, drives the doubt away.
Guys, it's Bob from the K6 UDA radio show, and when I'm not stuffing my face full of sausages or making the ham radio show your mother warned you about, I'm watching Jason on Ham Radio 2.0.
Hi, this is David, KD5YDU, and you're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast available on live from the Hamshack.tv and YouTube.
Hello YouTube, this is Rich, KG5RBG from Conroe, Texas. You're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on live from the Hamshack.tv and YouTube. 73s and see you on DMR.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Bradley Roof.
Howdy, this is Jake, Kilo Golf 5, Golf Delta Mike, coming to you from Forestburg, Texas. You're watching Ham Radio 2.0. You can catch all of Jason's videos on his YouTube channel, Ham Radio 2.0, or live from the Hamshack.tv. Feel free to share, comment, like any of the videos that you see on his page. Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Noel, KF5SLK, KF5SLK de Watauga, Texas. Estás viendo la serie de podcast de video de Ham Radio 2.0, disponible en live from the Hamshack.tv or YouTube.
Hello, I'm Bradley Roof here in Tucson, Indiana, and you're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 podcast, live from the Hamshack and on YouTube.
Hi, this is Bob, K0NR.
And I'm Joyce, K0JJW.
On the summit of Pikes Peak, doing summits on the air, and you're watching Ham Radio 2.0.
Yeah.
Greetings to you, Jason, from Australia, VK3 Papa Golf Kilo. Love your show, love Ham Radio 2.0. Thanks, mate. Keep them coming. Bye.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Bradley Roof. Okay, I'm Bradley Roof, K9RMR/AG. That's right, baby, passed my test. I'm now a general, I'm an AG. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to tune into Ham Radio 2.0, live from the Hamshack. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hey, my name is Noel, KF5SLK from Watauga, Texas. You're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on live from the Hamshack.tv or YouTube.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Ham Radio 2.0 live from the Hamshack. My name is Jason. My call sign is Kilo Charlie 5 Hotel Whiskey Bravo. And today, I got a microphone. So the sound quality should be improved.
Hello, everybody. This is Adam, call sign AD0AM in Dyersville, Iowa. And you are watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on livefromthehamshack.tv and YouTube.
Hi, everyone. This is Rick, K6BZN from Vacaville, California. And you're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on livefromthehamshack.tv and YouTube. 7-3.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And then we're gonna give all this stuff in this box away. There's gift certificates, there's radios, there's whatever. After we get through giving all that stuff away, you got to be present to win. We're gonna throw those tickets back in the hopper. And we'll shake them again, and we're gonna give away a Kenwood TS 990. Does anybody here have a 990? There's a few. That is one awesome rig.
Hi, this is Sean, W9SLN, and you're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast available on livefromthehamshack.tv and YouTube.
You bet. Thank you. Peace, everybody. Make America great again.
There you go. Okay, there we go.
Well, hello.
Well, hello.
I forgot to pull the mic up.
That's okay. I haven't tested your audio yet anyway, so I don't even know if...
We shoot from the
that's
hip
better.
all the time.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Hey, guys. Good evening and happy Sunday. Happy first day of March 2020.
It is March 1st.
I know. That's why I said that. So, I am Jason, KC5HWB.
And I'm Frank, KG5AHJ.
And that's how he says it on the repeater.
It is.
So, thanks for joining us tonight. This is our first Sunday of the month live stream, and we're going to be talking about some DMR stuff here in just a little bit.
Ooh.
But have you got any names?
I got a couple so far.
All right.
In the chat, if you go ahead and enter your name, your call sign, and where you hail from, we'll go ahead and give you a shout out in the stream. So far, I have Michael VK6MMB from Western Australia.
Australia, yeah, I saw that.
Western
call sign in there. That's great.
Wow. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you for my mic level's a little low.
I got it.
Frank is drinking motor oil. No, I am not. We'll get to that in a minute. And David Norton, N1JXX David. Thank you for joining us. So far, that's what I have. But go ahead and put your call sign in the chat and where you come from. Just like Mike. Is that G0RFD?
Yeah, that's
I never saw a G before.
That's the UK.
Yep. Hailing from UK. Oh, I don't need to copy that because we just did it.
Right. So
sometimes it does require us to approve your posting because it sees your call sign as random spam. We'll try to get that approved as soon as we see it.
Yeah, for some reason it does that sometimes, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, in fact, it does just did it there to Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that one. Okay, now we're getting people rolling in. So W2XAB, John Birmingham, thank you for joining us tonight.
And subscriber.
If any of you have ever attended the DMR presentation given at Dayton Hamvention in the last 8 or 10 years, you've probably seen John's presentation of DMR, so he'll be able to correct me on everything I say that's wrong tonight. We've got N4XLD from Minden, Michigan. I think that's Michigan. HJQ, JOQ from Columbia.
And we got Collins from Mansfield, W5PKY. That's just, down the Metroplex from us.
Yeah, Mansfield, I saw that in there. Yeah. So, good deal. Yeah, so a lot of people in there, KE4JBP, north side of Lake Texoma, KI5BEZ, N1JXX, K7KLW, K5, oh, there's Walter, K5WH.
We had a Chuck.
Thanks for joining us, Walter.
Chuck earlier, KB8YIT, Western Virginia.
Cool, good deal.
I need to get back out there.
You may not be loud as I am, Frank, because you're not talking into the mic. You're turning your head when you say that.
Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I'm just saying that may be what it is. We're both set to the same setting over here. So y'all let us.
Is it the front of the mic or the side?
It's the front.
Front.
It's
Okay.
the front. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So you guys let us know how it sounds now. I turned everything up a little bit. Yeah. So good deal. Ron N5HYH, Chuck KK6USY. Thanks for joining us, Chuck. Good to hear from you
We
again.
got Don watching us from a 911 call center in Tennessee or no, Connecticut.
Connecticut.
CT.
Yeah, Connecticut.
W1FYG. That is pretty cool. Put
That
it
is
up on the
pretty
big
cool.
screen, and everyone will look at you weird.
Yeah,
What are these guys doing?
That's pretty fun. That's pretty fun. All right, so okay, so before we get started here, I do want to mention that the Irving Hamfest is upcoming, and we will be doing another live stream from the Irving Hamfest this coming Saturday. Frank's going to put a link in the chat where you can click on that and see what they're doing. It is in Irving, Texas, about halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. And they are giving away hourly door prizes, which will include a DX Mini version 2 hotspot. I can't remember. There's 2 or 3 other cool things on there. I think it's going to be like a FT3D or something like that. I forget. But the grand prize is an IC7300. That's worth coming for right there.
I want that.
Yeah.
So does my badge put me into the enter?
No, you'll have to buy your own ticket.
Aww.
No, because we don't get that.
Boo.
But IC7300, you don't have to be present to win the grand prize. You have to get there and put your ticket in. You don't have to be present to win the grand prize, but you do have to be present to win the hourly door prizes. And I believe those are done at 8, 9, 10, or 9, 10, 11, and 12, I think. 9, 10, 11, and 12. There's 4 door prizes, and I think they're drawing the grand prize around 1. I think that's right. So Irving Hamfest this Saturday. Frank and I will both be there. Jason from DX Mini will be there. We'll both be on the in the front again, right next up to the front window like we were last year. And
Bob for our finder?
No, he's not. No. That's the Irving show is a good regional show, but it doesn't draw a crowd from outside of Dallas Fort Worth usually. But you never know. Yeah. So it's a good. Yeah. There's the link that Frank put a link in the chat. So that's going to be a fun time this coming Saturday.
Yes. Yes.
And. What else?
You tell me.
Okay.
You want to talk about our beer?
Oh, well, everybody's asking about it.
Yeah.
What is this?
I was last week, was told by my awesome office I needed to get up to Oklahoma City again, so I stopped by the Twisted Spike Brewery, and I brought back some more Rose Rock. This is the dark beer. It's
not dark, though. It's an Irish red ale.
There it is. Yep. Irish red ale.
It's not all that red, but it definitely doesn't taste. It tastes more like a red ale than it does a dark beer for sure.
But it's good. I enjoyed it. But great guys. I spent a couple hours up there and chatted with them. Very friendly. If you're in the area, I highly recommend Twisted Spike. I'm going to hit that place up every time I'm in the area now.
That sounds good to me. Okay, so we're going to go over here. Yeah, that's still okay. Boom. And we're just going to jump right into it. We got about, I can't see the screen now, Frank, so you're going to you have to keep me posted on how many people are watching. And I can see the chat, but it's small text on my screen, so I can't really see the chat.
Okay.
But feel free to ask questions in the chat. This is a DMR presentation that I put together about 2 years ago. I first presented it at Hamcom. I think it was Hamcom 2018. I think that's when it was. And it's basically just saying understanding DMR networks, because unlike the WiresX network or the D-Star network, we have different networks we can connect to with a DMR repeater or hotspot or radio or stuff like that. So there's a lot of confusion. And quite frankly, the reason I put this together is because, quite frankly, the reason I put this together, that was good. I like that. That was good. You got me on that one. I was confused about some things myself. So I did a little bit of research and I put this together and I'm like, okay, so this isn't all encompassing, but this is a really good definition of what you find where and how repeaters connect together and why sometimes talk groups don't line up with one another. So we're going to jump into this right here. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So my first, and up until today, really, up until this presentation, our first, you guys already know about my YouTube channel because that's where you're watching me right now.
105 are watching.
Awesome.
No
Cool.
pressure.
No, that's okay. You know what? DMR videos always get a lot of viewers. And that's good. That's good. I'm really happy with that. I think next time we might do an on-air video about writing a code plug from scratch.
I've been telling you to do that for a while now.
Well, now Chris did one of these at the Hearst Club 2 weekends ago, and I recorded it. So I'm editing the video now, and I will be putting that up on my channel.
Okay.
He goes through he shows you how to build a code plug from scratch. Well, he shows you how to build one channel on the TYT software, and then he shows you how to, and then we edit a code plug on the TYT software. So, but it was like an hour-long presentation.
Yep.
So and it's a good presentation, but I think I can expand on that a bit. So anyway, if you are in Texas, our website that we created a few years ago, which actually Chris KD5HIY, he's kind of the brainchild behind this website. I am an admin on it, but I don't own the website. Chris does. We had our information on dmr-marc.net.
Yes.
Yeah, dmr-marc.net, and it wasn't really well kept. It wasn't really up to date, and we didn't have admin rights to it, so we decided to create our own website just for the state of Texas. So this website will let you drill down from the repeater menu at the top and find repeaters all over the state of Texas, no matter what network they are connected to. So also at the top right corner of that website, we have a mailing list. We try to keep up with stuff, let people know when our weekly statewide net is and that kind of thing. So dmrtexas.net is where you can find all that kind of good stuff. Are we still good, Frank? Okay. Yeah, you guys feel free to ask questions in the chat. That's one reason we're here.
Yep, and while we're going on, I'll be looking for questions, and I put the link down for the dmrtexas.net website.
I see a super chat from
Noel.
From the Noel.
From the Noel.
The Noel.
He says he will buy my ticket as long as I agree if I win the IC 700. IC 37.
7,300 is what you're trying to say.
Dyslexic is getting to me today. IC 7,300. He will utilize it until I get my antenna stuff back.
That sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, I said.
Sounds like a great deal. Yeah. Okay. All right. So on DMR, like I mentioned a minute ago, on DMR there are different networks. If you've got a Yaesu System Fusion repeater that's connected to the internet through an HRI 200 box, or perhaps with the newer DR2X, I think it is, repeater that'll connect directly to WiresX. WiresX is one network. I mean, there's no choosing networks and whatnot. D-Star is the same way. I don't know as much about D-Star as I do the other two, but D-Star, you connect your repeater, you connect to the D-Star network, and you have access to everything on the D-Star network. DMR is not so much the same way. The first ever network in the United States was DMR-MARC. MARC is the Motorola Amateur Radio Club. They use a piece of software called a C-Bridge to interconnect repeaters together and to interconnect to other C-bridges. So one C-bridge can connect to another C-bridge, can connect to another C-bridge, and then all those C-bridges can have repeaters on them, and they can all share talk groups and information that way. DMR-MARC came around somewhere around 2009. I've got some history in here and a couple slides. We're going to look at that here in a minute. Brandmeister came online at about 2015. They were the first to use, they were the first to allow hotspots to connect to the network. And, in the United States anyway. And they connect their repeaters and servers together through the use of a software called a master server. Basically does the same thing that a C-Bridge does. Some talk groups are interconnected between Brandmeister and DMR-marc and or other C-Bridges, and some talk groups are not interconnected between the two. And then there's a DMR Plus network, which is used quite a bit overseas. I was in Europe 2 summers ago, around 2018. I was in Europe and pulling up the R-Finder app on my phone and doing a proximity search with the GPS. I found a lot of DMR Plus repeaters, a few Brandmeister repeaters, a few C-Bridge repeaters, but most of them were DMR Plus. So they're really big over in Europe and I believe in Asia. And we do have some DMR Plus repeaters in the United States, but they're not; those networks are not as big as a C-Bridge or Brandmeister network. So these are just different networks you can connect to when you're going in and programming your repeater and connecting it to the internet and telling it which server you want to point to that's going to give you all your talk group information.
A quick question about
Okay.
DMR in general.
Okay.
Are there any problems with interference from non-DMR radios?
You mean like from an analog radio?
And yeah, an analog radio interfering with, I believe, a DMR.
No, I've
signal.
never seen that before. And being in DMR since 2013, I've never seen interference from analog on DMR. DMR will interfere with analog. It'll go the other way. But I've never seen an analog signal interfere with a DMR signal. I guess if you got right up next to the receiving antenna and keyed down like 200 watts, yeah, maybe. I have heard of other repeaters desensing a DMR repeater and blowing out the finals in it or blowing out the PA in it. I have heard of that happening.
But that can happen on
But
an analog also.
Yeah, that can happen on any repeater. And generally when that happens, you don't really hear that interference or activity over the air if you're listening to your DMR radio. So when I hear the question interference, I'm thinking, do you hear like intermod from another system? And no, you don't.
And Mike, N8UB, is looking to get him a DMR radio, and he's ordering a Anytone 8780 or 878 UV BT.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite ones.
It's one of the best ones right out there.
Yeah, it is.
And I've been saying I want one of those for a while.
Yeah. And just for the smoke and ape, I've got my my BTEC 6x2 right here. But for all intents and purposes, this is the same radio as an Anytone 868. So we've talked about that. I've got several videos on those radios, and you'll see more of them upcoming as well. So, boom. So which one is better? Which network is better? I get asked that a lot. I get so which one's better?
So what do you got on there?
That's a Zastone little. I don't even know what model that is.
Then you have a Baofeng.
And then it's a Baofeng UV5R in the middle, and that's a Kenwood D74 on the far right.
So it's just
or
ham
D72
radios
rather.
in general. Which one's better?
No, which network is better?
Network.
Which network is better? So I get asked that question a lot. So which one's better? Well, you know what? They all do different things. I don't think any one of them is necessarily better than the other one. So it really kind of depends on what you're going for. Usually I will tell people if you want to put up a repeater or a DMR repeater and connect it to a network, choose the network that is most prevalent in whatever state you live in. Because every state has different networks. The state of Oklahoma is mostly Brandmeister. The state of Arkansas is mostly Brandmeister. State of Texas is mostly a C-Bridge. The state of Arizona, I think they've got a kind of a mix of Brandmeister and C-Bridge. New Mexico is the same way. So it really just kind of depends, and I don't have all the states memorized, but it really kind of depends on what's most prevalent, how many different repeaters are on a certain network in your state. And I would connect to whatever network your state is kind of adopted. That would be my personal preference. But it's not really...
It's easier to get local help.
Correct, yeah. So it's not really a question which is better. I'm just... In this presentation, I'm not really going to talk about... This is the one you should choose and why. That's not the point of this presentation here. So
and go with digital analog ham. The best one is whichever one you have in your hand.
yeah, he's talking about the radio, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
probably true. So, history of DMR in the USA. DMR was ratified in 2005 by the European Telecommunication Standard Institute. It's what commonly referred to as an ETSI standard. ETSI is an acronym. In March of 2009, Paul K6EH was operating a UHF turbo repeater in standalone digital mode in Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles County. The site had a wide area coverage location and spurred our initial interest in DMR. It's likely that Paul's repeater, which was called DMM actually, but before DMM included the Moto Turbo firmware, was the very first ham turbo repeater in the USA, and this was well before IPSC was provided by Motorola. We'll get into that in a second. In June of that same year, on Saturday morning, they made their first IPSC connection. Repeaters were located in Mount Pleasant, Culver City, California, and Costa Mesa, California. We successfully connected 3 repeaters who were up and chatting on the all-call talk group using a new repeater firmware, 1.04.09, and they were using Motorola XPR 6500s running that firmware. And all 3 repeaters were sitting on the desks, and all 3 repeaters were in original firmware demo repeaters that had been sitting on a dealer shelves for several years. You can view that full history at turbo.org/history.html. At the 2009 Dayton Hamvention, Jim Hopper, W5EBQ, and Paul Allred, W5PCA, had a meeting with the DMR-MARC team that was there and decided to set up the first seabridge in Texas called Lone Star. And Brandmeister came along in 2015, as I said. So, every time I get in front of the camera, my nose starts to itch. So basically, when DMR came to Texas, that was in 2000, Dayton Hamvention 2009. It was sometime later that year, perhaps the first part of 2010, when the first DMR repeater was set up in Texas, which was in Dallas, and shortly thereafter a repeater in Denton, both of which are still there today. It wasn't too long after that 4 or 5 repeaters came online in the Midland, Odessa area. And these were all connected to what was called then the Lone Star Seabridge, which currently still exists today. So Seabridge is a piece of software that runs in a data center, or you can buy a hardware server and run the Seabridge on it. But the Seabridge really is a piece of software that runs on a server somewhere in a data center, and has the ability to connect repeaters together over the internet. So the important thing is to remember that that DMR-MARC was the first Seabridge, and it's still out there. DMR-MARC is still out there today, but there are dozens, if not hundreds, of Seabridges in the United States today, used for amateur radio connections, and most of them, in fact, a vast majority of them, are not owned or administered by DMR-MARC at all. One of the mistakes I used to make was that every time I'd see a Seabridge, I was like, oh, that's on the DMR-MARC network. Well, no, it has access to DMR-MARC talk groups, or it can, but that doesn't mean it's actually on the DMR-MARC network, because a Seabridge creates a network of its own. It's basically a gateway to the internet, which can gateway to other Seabridges and gateway to take repeaters and put them on the internet and provide them with connections here and there. So the term, and here let me just keep going with this. So the current DMR-MARC networks, and this list is not conclusive. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not a complete list.
All inclusive?
All inclusive, that's it. Yeah, thank you. DMR-MARC, DCI Turbo, Lone Star, DMR-X, K4USD, Crossroads, Chicagoland, Rocky Mountain Ham, DMR-FL, which is Florida, Bronx Turbo in New York, Brandmeister, DMR Plus. The Lone Star is obviously in Texas. DMR-X is up north somewhere. K4USD originated in Atlanta. Mr. John Birmingham in the chat today is the administrator of that network. I'm not sure if it's still in Atlanta, if he's moved it to Tennessee. Crossroads is in Indiana. Chicagoland is, of course, in Chicago. Rocky Mountain Ham is throughout New Mexico and Colorado. DMR-FL is Florida. Bronx is New York, etc., etc. Brandmeister can be anywhere. There's 4 or 5 Brandmeister servers in the United States, and that service multiple hundreds of repeaters in the United States, and probably even more than that, hotspots in the United States. So the, let's see. So this is a basic C-bridge configuration. If the DMR-MARC network is originating talk groups worldwide North America, worldwide English, and the regional talk groups, then it interconnects to, it sends those talk groups to Lone Star. Lone Star can send talk groups to other C-bridges. C-Bridge 2.0 is my C-Bridge. I named it that because Ham Radio 2.0, C-Bridge 2.0. I have a C-Bridge of my own, and I've had it for like 2 or 3 years. The TAC 3
Shameless plug there.
Yeah. The TAC 310, 311, and 312 talk groups were actually originally created by DCI Turbo and not by DMR Marc. People think those are DMR Marc talk groups, and they're not. They're accessible by DMR Marc, but those were originally created by the DCI Turbo folks. And those 3 talk groups also interconnect 100% of the time to Brandmeister. So if you get on TAC 310 on Brandmeister or TAC 310 on a C-Bridge connected repeater, 99% of the time those talk groups are going to talk to one another. That's not always true with all talk groups, but it is true with those 3. We doing okay on questions?
I haven't got any recently.
Okay, that's fine.
John just signed into the chat. K4USD, I like that, in a data center in Dayton, Ohio. That's pretty cool.
Okay, K4USD was the one I just talked about. He used to live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I know he lives somewhere in Tennessee now. So the data center is actually in Dayton. I didn't know that. I thought the data center was in Atlanta.
So we'll probably see him when we're in Dayton.
Yeah, he's usually at Dayton. Yeah. So
he also commented that DCI is now called DMR-X.
Okay, yeah. DCI Turbo is DMR-X. Yeah, this man knows about. He's an ex-Motorola employee. He knows about DMR.
There's a question real fast about Anytones. The Anytone code plug is a different than a TYT code plug.
Yes, it is. All radio manufacturers have a different type of code plug for their specific brand of radios.
We'll probably dig into this more later,
yes.
But don't let a code plug scare you.
Right.
It is Excel, just an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, that's basically what it is,
with
yeah.
tabs.
Yeah.
And it's extracted away, but it's an XML spreadsheet, so they're not scary. You can go ahead and create one pretty easy. There's a couple of gotchas, and I believe we're going to cover that later.
Yeah.
Not in today's presentation.
No, we're going to, I think we're going to do, we might do that on our, 2 weeks from now will be our next live stream here in the shack. And we might do how to write a DMR code plug on that.
And Jeff asked, why hasn't someone come up with a code plug repository?
Okay. We have that. So let me go over here real quick. And let's go. So let me do that. Okay, so this is dmrtexas.net. And if you go up here to code plugs, you mouse over code plugs, and you go to national code plugs, we have reached out to people all over the country. Now, this is primarily for the United States, okay? But if we figured out places for code plugs in other countries, we would certainly add them here. So this is an alphabetical listing of all the states in the United States, and these are...
That's not right.
Information...
You need to put Texas at the top.
Yeah. This is information we found that we've spoken to other hams about, or other clubs about, or other network owners about, something like that. So this is... And it's not complete, because you'll look and see Alaska. We couldn't find anything for Alaska. We couldn't find anything for Delaware. Georgia. Couldn't find anything there. I'm sure there's Georgia. Hawaii, I know a couple of those guys. I think we've emailed them and haven't gotten any response back. But this is obviously not it's a complete list, but it's not a full list.
And this is the up-to-date that we can get them.
Right.
Because things change as the repeaters the repeater owners whims.
And see, all these are hyperlinks, okay? So if you come here and you say, I want a code plug for Indiana, well, you just click on Who's Your DMR, and it opens up their webpage where they keep their code plugs updated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's in the files section
cool.
here.
That's a good idea.
It's on Facebook, so yeah.
Facebook?
So here's Facebook. You know what it is.
No, I don't.
So yeah, you do. So these are code plugs for that part of that state right there. So, long story short, if anyone has, go to dmrtexas.net, hover over the code plugs, click on the National Code Plug Database. If you're in another state in the United States somewhere, or if you know about a website that keeps code plug repositories somewhere in another country, that's fine too. Email us. Go to dmrtexas.net, send us an email, send us a link to where those code plugs are, and we'll add it to this page, because our focus here is to try to create a nationwide and eventually a worldwide repository, which is not going to be a repository because code plugs update all the time. So we can't keep all our code plugs in one place and give them out, because people would either not send us updates when they got them, or they'd keep sending us updates, and it would be a full-time job just to keep that updated. So we provide links to other places where we know code plugs are for specific areas. So
142.
Awesome.
Sweet.
This is definitely the most live stream I've ever had. We've ever had. I'm sorry,
Back
Frank.
a little bit more on topic. You're fine, man. You're good. Getting back to the topic.
Go ahead.
Dave asked N1JXX.
Yep.
Does a Seabird need a repeater?
Yeah, a C bridge needs a repeater.
So the C bridge is the connecting part from the repeater to the DMR network.
Correct. That's right. Yeah, C bridge is just a piece of software that runs on the internet in a data center somewhere, and it connects repeaters or devices together. So without anything connected to it, it wouldn't really be doing anything.
So if you're looking to just have a HT to connect to the DMR network, you can use a hotspot, which we talked about.
You can use a hotspot to connect to Brandmeister, which is really easy.
Mhm.
Oh, the other thing, I should have mentioned that, and I need to update this slide when I was talking about these networks back here. TGIF, which came online a year or two ago, is newer than all this stuff. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen here. So TGIF here is newer than since I made this screen, so I need to add it to the list here. But TGIF network, if you have a Pi-Star hotspot and you go in there and you click the drop down, you'll see different networks, and there's a lot of Brandmeister networks in there. There's a lot of DMR Plus networks in there, and now there's one for TGIF. They have their own network now, so you can. So TGIF is yet another network that's on DMR, and I should add that in here as well. Shows where I need to update. So, but yeah, you're going to want, if you want to connect your hotspot to, you can connect it to a C bridge. Some C bridges, you can connect it to Brandmeister, you can connect it to DMR Plus, you can connect it to TGIF, and then each one of those networks has separate talk groups that they have available to them, where you might want to talk to your buddies or just follow a QSO or something. So C bridge configuration here added to the screen here, which is also available to send and receive talk groups from Brandmeister. So Brandmeister can send certain talk groups to a C bridge, and C bridge can send certain talk groups to Brandmeister, and they can intertrade talk groups back and forth, so that someone with a repeater connected to Brandmeister can get this talk group from the C bridge, or someone with a repeater connected to the C bridge can get this talk group from Brandmeister. So most of these network servers share. Well, they can share. The technology has the ability to share talk groups in between all these different servers, all these different networks. So,
Jay from Australia, howdy, man. Give your call sign so we can see. Give you a shout out.
Yeah.
And you're good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't like not being able to see the chat, but okay.
Yeah, there's one question. I'm just trying to parse it. Can you take your DMR idea and make a virtual talk group?
No. Brandmeister used to allow that, and they got so many requests for so many different talk groups that I'm told that they don't allow that anymore. Now with the C bridge, you can pretty much do any darn thing you want to. So we have a couple of talk groups that are made from the IDs on a C bridge, but on a C bridge, you can actually create a talk group that's something else. That's a 4-digit, 5-digit, 6-digit, and not have to have the 7-digit user ID for a talk group. Because technically speaking, 7-digit IDs are for individual people, are supposed to tied to a person individual call sign, and anything less than 7 digits is supposed to be a talk group ID. But there are people who kind of fudge on that a little bit, and you can do that too.
That came. Jay gave us call sign VK4XD.
VK?
VK.
Okay, that's Australia. Thank you for joining us. So a C bridge will actually interconnect more than just DMR repeaters, as you can see in the screenshot here. The connection type can be an analog, control center inbound, outbound. An IPSC group voice is what we use for the DMR connection. There's a network sound, and RNPC, and SIP, and all kinds of good stuff. So the C bridge is actually a much, much more robust piece of software than what we use it for in amateur radio. So the main reason I put this together, if you don't take away anything else today, and you only take away one thing, when I say C bridge, don't associate that with DMR-marc. DMR-marc is a C bridge, but it's not the only C bridge. We've got DMR-X, Lone Star, Chicagoland, My C Bridge 2.0. There's 5 C bridges in the state of Texas that I'm aware of, and none of them are owned or administered by DMR-marc, and never have been. We've never had a DMR-marc owned repeater in the state of Texas. Most of our repeaters have access to DMR-marc talk groups that are sent to us from the DMR-marc servers, but they are not directly, our repeaters don't directly connect to DMR-marc C bridge. They connect to the Lone Star C bridge or one of the other 4 C bridges, who then has control center connections between our C bridges and the DMR-marc C bridge. So just understand that when I say C bridge, when you hear someone talking about a C bridge, it's not necessarily DMR-marc. In fact, this day and age, it's probably not DMR-marc, because DMR-marc really only kind of has control over 6 or 8 different talk groups right now, and everything else in the world's originated somewhere else. So the C bridge has a thing called a net watch, which is just scrolling text. It shows you who's talking, how they're connecting to the network, and what talk group they're on. So over on the far left here, we see hotspot. So this person's coming in with a hotspot. The person on the top line here is coming in with a hotspot. The person who is talking right now, the actual station talking, is KN4 ILH, I think that says. They're on the TAC 310 talk group, and they're connected. And the TAC 310 talk group is being originated by DMR-X. That's what all that means. So you can kind of see who's talking, and if you see someone talking that you're like, oh, I know that guy, I want to talk to him, then you can turn your hotspot or your repeater or something over to that talk group and join in the conversation. So it's a good way to kind of keep control of, or keep information about who's talking where. Brandmeister has a dashboard. This is one thing Brandmeister does a little bit more ham radio friendly than the C bridge, because if I connect a repeater to Brandmeister, I can go into the dashboard and I can tell it which static talk groups to set on which time slot. I can change that if I want to. I can set timeout timers to something other than 15 minutes is the norm, but you can set a timeout timer to 5 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. You can change that up a little bit in here, and you have a little bit more direct control over your own repeater if it's connected to the Brandmeister network. You have that same control over a repeater connected to a C bridge, but generally the only person who has that control is the C bridge owner. And the reason for that is because a C bridge can have up to 50 repeaters connected to it. But there's no way to send an administration for one repeater. If you give someone admin rights to the C bridge, they have admin over all 50 repeaters. So it can be a security issue sometimes, because if you have a guy on there with only 1 or 2 repeaters and you give him admin rights to it, then he can admin his repeaters, but he can also admin everything else on there. So I don't know of really many people who do that at all. But on Brandmeister, it's a little bit easier to do that for your own repeater. Brandmeister has a thing called hose line, and it's basically the same thing as a net watch, except that it passes audio over the internet. So you can open up hose line in a web browser, and you can go to the main page in hose line. You can see everyone talking, and that I don't think it passes audio in the main page. But if you drill down to a specific talk group, like this one right here is listening on talk group 310, TAC 310, and if you drill down to a specific talk group, you can hear all that audio activity on that talk group coming through your computer.
But you can't respond to it?
No, you can't talk on it. It's just a monitoring tool.
Huh.
So yeah, so you can have, you can monitor TAC 310, you can monitor USA 3100, you can monitor your statewide talk group, assuming your statewide talk group lives on Brandmeister. You can do that kind of thing. So Hoseline is a useful tool if you just kind of want to monitor who's talking, and maybe you don't have a radio on, or maybe you're Frank and you let your battery die all the time.
Well, I turn it on.
Yeah.
To listen to it.
Right.
Then I get up and walk out of my office, and it's still on. It's charged right now.
Yeah. Yeah, is it?
Yes.
Good, okay.
I was going to bring it, but
Yeah.
then I decided not to.
That's all right. So Hoseline access can be monitored by everyone because anybody with a computer access can listen to it. You don't have to log into it to monitor the talk group. Anybody with or without a ham license can go to Hoseline and drill down to a talk group and monitor the traffic. Ham radio, we don't scramble or encrypt anything, not legally anyway, so it's just like having a scanner. You can listen to the repeater all you want to. It passes audio and can connect to talk groups from hotspots. So a little bit of comparisons. Both networks, C-Bridges and Brandmeister, can originate talk groups. Anybody can own a C-Bridge. C-Bridge is licensed software. You do have to purchase it. If you want to go buy your own C-Bridge, you can do that. And you can set it up in a data center somewhere. You can even run it on a server sitting at your house if you really wanted to. And then you can have other guys connect their repeaters to it. Or if you own a bunch of repeaters yourself that you want to deploy in a certain location, you can purchase your own C-Bridge, set it up, connect your own repeaters together, and do anything on it that you want to. The master server on Brandmeister is owned and administered by Brandmeister. They will not let people attach to them. So basically, right around the time I was buying my own C-Bridge, I went to Brandmeister and I said, hey, if I buy a server, a virtual private server, what's called a VPS, and want to install a master server and administer it myself and have it connect to your network, how do I do that? And they said, you can't. We've got enough space in the United States right now. We're not putting anything else on there, and we keep control of that ourselves. So they will not allow you to connect to their network. If that's changed, I don't think that's changed. This was like 2 years ago. I checked with them. But I know a couple of the admins over there, and I think they would have told me if they changed by now.
Now, stepping back a topic here.
Yep.
The Hoseline, did you just have it up?
Mm-mm.
No?
That was a screenshot.
That was a screenshot.
Right.
People are saying they're getting a 502 error.
Well, let me look here. I think it's... Yep, I'm getting it too. So, hose.brandmeister.network is the URL.
So we just tanked the website for the first time.
No, I don't think we did it because that wasn't. Yeah, I don't think we did it.
No, the chat says it's been down for a couple of days. I just wanted to take credit that we just sent so many people over.
So I gave this presentation at a local club in Tomball, Texas, about a week ago, and someone commented that said, "Yeah, Hoseline's great when it works." So I don't monitor a lot of Hoseline. Back when I used to monitor it a little bit more, it would always work, but I'm told that it's kind of like a little bit more flaky now than it used to be. Don't know. That's just what I was told. So both networks can pass talk groups from other C-Bridges. So the C-Bridge can pass talk groups from other C-Bridges, and Brandmeister can pass talk groups from Brandmeister or from a C-Bridge. So basically, both of them can pass talk groups from either or. It's just a matter of what the C-Bridge owner or the Brandmeister owner wants to pass back and forth. Repeater and hotspot access are allowable on both of them. Sometimes when DMR-MARC first came online, they didn't allow hotspots. But like I said, there's a lot more C-Bridges out there now than just DMR-MARC. And the nice folks over at DV Switch created some software that's called DMR Link and HB Link, and it'll allow you to connect hotspot type devices or MMDVM type devices to a C bridge now. So that's kind of a long drawn out process. It's not hard. There's just a lot of steps to it. I have that running on my C bridge now, and I actually have 4 or 5 or 6 MMDVM repeaters connected to my C bridge now. One slide that used to be in this presentation I took out of it a while ago is that C bridge traditionally only allows Motorola repeaters, but today that's not accurate anymore. You can have Motorola repeaters, you can have MMDVM repeaters. So basically, you can take a Raspberry Pi and connect it to the back of almost any repeater and turn an analog repeater into a DMR repeater with a Raspberry Pi and MMDVM host software, and then you can connect that to a C bridge with the DV switch software. Like I said, I've got 4 or 5 of them on my C bridge now, and they work great. They sound just as good as the Motorola stuff. You can't really tell. So this day and age, you've got repeater and hotspot access available on both networks, and that's true for the TGIF network as well. Although they don't connect to a C bridge as easily, but there is a way to do it. I'm not going to go into that today. So strengths for each network. The C bridge is a little bit more customizable because anybody can own it and do whatever they want to with it. Brandmeister is a little bit more uniform because basically if you've got a list of talk groups on Brandmeister and a repeater connected to it, then that list of talk groups is going to exist on every Brandmeister repeater. So you don't have to wonder if a talk group is on this repeater or on that repeater. If it's got access to Brandmeister, it's got a list to all the talk groups that Brandmeister has. C-Bridge makes private talk groups a little bit easier because we can create talk groups with a 7-digit ID or just make up an ID. And Brandmeister used to do that, but they've really kind of backed off on that lately just because they were getting so many talk group requests. It is a little bit easier it's a lot easier to set up a hotspot to connect to Brandmeister or to TGIF because you just click the drop-down menu inside of Pi-Star or the OpenSpot software and click on TGIF or Brandmeister Master Server and go, and you're done. You can do it with the C-Bridge. It's a few more steps involved, and it's some different software involved. The DV Switch software is free. You don't have to pay for it, but you do have to set it up and make it run. C-Bridge can be multiple networks, and C-Bridges are mostly repeaters. Brandmeister, last I checked, I haven't checked this in a while. Last I checked, Brandmeister had more hotspots than they do repeaters. I don't personally like that fact. I think it creates more trouble. And what I mean by trouble is it's not as stable as a network built mostly by repeaters. Just because of the quality of hotspot. Now, there's nothing in the world wrong with a hotspot. Okay, I think a hotspot is a great supplement to your network. This is an OpenSpot 3. Let me change the view here real quick.
Or do you use the top camera?
Huh?
Oh.
No, I'm just going to change it right back there. So this is an OpenSpot 3. This is a DX Mini, which I just put up a video about the DX Mini on Monday. No, Thursday. On Thursday, like 3 days ago. And let's see. This is a TGIF spot. This is the original TGIF spot right here.
Ooh.
With a screen. So there's a lot of
these are ready to go kits. You don't have to
Correct.
do anything. You just plug them in.
And well, you got to program it for your own.
Yeah, configure.
You got to configure them, but yeah.
Yeah, but these aren't project boards.
No. These are purchased.
Yes.
Purchased hotspots. So nothing wrong with the hotspot. Okay. So don't get me wrong when I say this. OpenSpot 2, if you want to see that one. There is no way. Now think about this logically for a second. Okay. There is no way a $200 to $300 hotspot or a $75 hotspot that you buy all the pieces yourself and put together yourself. There's no way that a $300 hotspot, okay, that does like 400 milliwatts, something like that, is going to be the quality of audio, quality of internet connection, quality of duty cycle as a $2,000 commercial grade Motorola repeater or a $1,200 commercial grade Bridgecom repeater. It's simple logic, okay? A Baofeng UV5R will talk on repeaters all day long, and it'll work fine. Some people say it doesn't sound as good, and I can see that. But a Kenwood, I don't have a Kenwood D74 will talk on the same repeaters that a Baofeng will talk on. You get the Baofeng for about $35, and the Kenwood D74 is about $550. Okay? You can't tell me that that you think the UV5R is the same quality as a D74. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, a Zygu QRP rig is not the same quality as an Elecraft K4 or an ICOM IC7300 or a 7700. Okay, so there's no way that a $300 hotspot is going to give you the same quality as a commercial grade repeater. It just doesn't work that way. It's just basic physics. Now, that does not mean the hotspot sucks. I say stuff like that sometimes, and people say, oh, so you hate hotspots. No, I didn't say that. There's nothing wrong with a hotspot. A hotspot is a fantastic supplement to your network.
So the hotspots are basically like a little micro repeater.
I've heard it called a micro repeater. I tell people that's what it is. Exactly what it is. It's a micro repeater.
It's your own personal little repeater.
Correct.
To be used in a small proximity to an HT or another radio.
That is correct. That is correct.
That checks
and
off a
there's,
question.
Okay, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with it, okay? Just don't fool yourself in thinking, oh, well, we don't have a repeater, so I'll get a hotspot and it'll be just as good. No, it just doesn't work. If you have the ability, or your club has the ability, to put up a repeater, do that. Because believe me, it sounds better, it works better, it's better hardware. It just is. Costs more, but most of the time when you spend more money on something, that's because the quality is better. Enter Flex Radio, Elecraft Radio, okay? Or compare some Kenwood and ICOM HTs to some Chinese HTs. It's just physics. So,
but to use a hotspot, BJ in the chat just pointed out, and he's correct. You need an internet connection to go along with it.
You need an internet connection. Well, technically, you need. Okay, yes, very true. Okay, technically, you need an internet connection at the repeater side also if you're going to get on a DMR network. Yes, you can set up a DMR repeater and be it standalone and not even plug it into the internet. You can set up a DMR repeater and plug it in a building. DMR was originally commercially as a commercial mode, not an amateur radio mode, okay? I'll talk about that again here in a second. You can set up a DMR repeater in a building or on top of your building and plug it into your local area network and not even give it a real-world IP. You can plug in a DMR repeater to the Arden network and not pass it out to the internet and just have it on the Arden network, okay? Or you can do it as standalone and not plug it in anything. You can do that. But if you're talking about, the subject of tonight is understanding DMR networks. If you're going to connect to a DMR network, then you need an internet connection for that repeater also.
Ron in the chat kind of points out to us, hotspots don't repeat local signals, and you're correct. It's probably better.
That's correct
way
also.
To explain it as a access point. Not a repeater.
Yeah. Well, technically, you can't. Well, somebody was emailing me the other day asking me if they could set up a hotspot at their home and allow hams who are living close to him to access it and act as a repeater. Yes, you can actually. You can do local traffic. The question is, why would you want to? Because it's half of a watt, 400 milliwatts, 500, 600 milliwatts, something like that, depending on which board you get. If you're close enough to talk into this, you're probably close enough to talk simplex. And you don't need this if you're close enough to talk simplex. So if you want to set this up and have it as a neighborhood repeater, nothing wrong with that. If you want to connect it to the network, great. If you want to do local traffic, use simplex. Much easier, sounds better.
Last kind of question here in the chat. Do you think people are using, do you think the reason there are less repeaters out there is because people are using hotspots? I think they're being used
probably.
Well, a little bit, but it's more supplement. If you don't have a DMR repeater in your area, a hotspot is a good thing for you to be using.
Yeah, but it's expensive. Well,
it's expensive to set a DMR repeater up.
It's expensive to set up any repeater. If I wanted to set up a 2-meter analog repeater, it's expensive.
Well, then you got to take on an extra cost to doing the DMR Seabridge or Brandmeister or someone else was in the chat was talking about dmr-marc.
Yeah, that's dmr-marc. Yeah, M-A-R-C. That's the first thing I said tonight. So
I've been living in the chat.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're fine. You're fine. But yeah, so just understand what a hotspot is and treat it accordingly. Okay, so I don't think it's a positive aspect that Brandmeister is built more out of hotspots than it is out of repeaters. Now, I don't know if that's true today. That was true at one point in the past. They had about 60% of the network was hotspots and about 40% were repeaters. And that fluctuates all the time. Changes up. People were always putting on new hotspots. They're always putting up and taking down repeaters. That changes constantly. So, but just call a hotspot what it is. That's my only point.
And Jason W9DXM says you're being very generous with the transmitting power. It's 10 milliwatts.
10 minutes. See, I don't even know what it is. 10 milliwatts, really? I thought it was more than that.
I know you're speaking off the cuff, but I'm going to try to represent it.
Well, there was a DV Mega board that I bought back in the days, one of my first ones, and I was told that it ran 400 milliwatts, but that might have been wrong. So I don't know.
I want a project board that could do a watt to 5 watts.
Good luck with that.
So if you know, reach out to me.
It's called a repeater.
But I can't put that on my project card.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'll let you continue on here.
All right. So and also Brandmeister has APRS enabled. There's a way to do that through the C-Bridge, but most C-Bridge owners don't have that turned on. More info there. Is that my last? That's my last slide. So more info at my website, which you guys already have that. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to pull this up so I can see the chat. And if we're at 156 now. Is that the highest the number's been?
That is the highest I see.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for watching tonight. This has been good. So.
Noel says, Noel, he thinks hotspots were originally a stopgap measure for the areas that don't have a DMR repeater.
Yes.
And I agree.
Okay, so BJ says the problem is with the networks. Bridging isn't there. DMR-marc can't talk to BM. I've had
Brandmeister.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's incorrect. It says DMR-marc can't talk to BM. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. DMR-marc can completely 100% talk to Brandmeister. The difference is that they don't want to. DMR-marc repeater owners don't want to pass their talk groups to Brandmeister because Brandmeister takes all the talk groups and they spit them out worldwide. So be it right, wrong, good, bad, or ugly, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm saying, yes, you actually can do that. You can pass talk group from any network to any network that you want to all day long. Doesn't matter. There's a difference between what you can do and what the network administrators want you to do or will allow you to do. So,
John asked it's a kind of a question. N4EJM. He's confused on how does DMR do simplex mode.
You mean the DMR mode?
Yeah, he said, I guess I'm confused on how to do it on a simplex mode.
Well, DMR radios will do simplex the same way as any other radio does. So I don't know. I don't understand what that question means.
Maybe that was in reference to something I missed earlier.
All right.
Because I thought it was a simplex question, which DMR can do, and that's where I was trying to lead you.
So
let's go back to people's names that logged in while you were talking here. James WA5DKW. I did not get where he's from.
Oh, that's James in Farmersville. He has a Farmersville DMR repeater.
All right, awesome.
So BJ says again, I'm just reading he's responding to what I said. That's what I meant. That's why I hate DMR-marc. That's why I like D-Star and Fusion. The hams are in control, not the repeater owners. Well, two problems I have with that. Number one, repeater owners are hams. Okay? Repeater owners are hams. So if you don't want your repeater owner to be in charge, then buy your own repeater. Because you're a ham, they're a ham, whatever. I personally think that if I spend $2,000 on a repeater, a duplexer, hardline, antenna, tower space, internet connection, that maybe I should get to say what happens with my own repeater. Maybe I shouldn't listen to what the hams want me to do with my repeater. If you don't want to use my repeater, put up your own freaking repeater. That's what I say. So now I'm not defending DMR-MARC. DMR-MARC does some stuff that I don't agree with too. But so far, what you're talking about in the chat is nothing that I have a problem with, because it's just, it doesn't matter. I mean, the problem is not there. You can put up a Brandmeister repeater and get the fire hose of Brandmeister talk groups, or you can put up a D-Star repeater and get the fire hose of D-Star reflectors. But whoever's putting up that repeater is the repeater owner and should have the right to say what happens with their own equipment that they paid for. So that's my take on that. Let's see.
T-Man, KI5BEZ.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a special talk group for Simplex?
Generally speaking, Simplex is done on talk group number 99. So if you ever go to Dayton Hamvention, make sure you have all 4 what we call standard DMR Simplex talk. I just call them Simplex 1, 2, 3, and 4. Standard DMR Simplex talk groups in your radio, because there is activity all over the place on DMR Simplex at Dayton. I heard some at Hamcation, though not nearly as much. But Dayton, it's lit up. They light up DMR Simplex quite a bit at the Dayton Hamvention. So, let's see. That's a lot of chatting going on there.
Yep.
But that's great.
We got
that's
from
great.
Earlier in the chat, Randy from Riverside, California,
Mhm.
KN6BZG. And then where's a name for this one? I don't see a name. I'm sorry. Put your name in the when you put your call signs in the chat so I can give you a call. Sometimes your usernames are not very descriptive. Oh look, I got Null from Watauga. That was just fun to put in there. Brian from Ohio, KB8ARL. I like that one.
Nice.
Yeah, how did you get that?
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I think we did Jim already. Jim KS. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. NS3K. Jim from the Philippines.
Cool. Thank you for the Philippines. Thank you for joining that.
Nate from Conroe, Texas. KI5FEE or F. I'm sorry. KI5FHE.
Okay, somebody asked in the chat just now,
Mm-hmm.
what are the, Don asked, what frequencies are DMR Simplex in Dayton? It's the standard ones. I'll put them in the chat. It's what I call the standard ones. Let's see, if we go there. I don't have them. There we go. DMR Simplex frequencies. I've never used any of these VHF ones, but the UHF ones I've used quite a bit. If you go to that website at va3xpr.net, it'll list the standard Simplex frequencies. That doesn't mean you can't use another frequency. If you and a group of buddies want to go up there and pick your own frequency, that's cool. Then you can kind of, sort of, somewhat have a private channel. But if you tune into those frequencies at Dayton Hamvention, there's quite a bit of activity.
Did you grab that from Discord? That was a question I just got from Discord from N2XDD.
N2XD. Yeah, you need to talk into the mic. Move that mic over on the other side of your computer. That way when you're looking at the... Yeah, there you go. So...
Yoink.
Colin, W5TED, I know him. He's a good dude. I don't know if you're talking to me or not. Roger Schultz is in the house, KE4BFG, Tennessee. Thanks for joining us, Roger. Let's see. Okay, that's what I was getting at.
I got Alex from Watauga, KG5YUX from Watauga. Is that Texas? I think that is Texas.
Watauga? Yeah. That's where Noel is. So, yeah, okay. So what? Okay, so I'm gonna make a note here that if we do in 2 weeks from now, if we're gonna do a code plug building,
okay,
we're gonna talk about Simplex because there's a lot of Simplex. I haven't been watching the chat the whole time, but it looks like there's quite a bit of questions about Simplex. Now, if you guys go back and watch on this channel. 2 or 3 months ago, we did a DMR 101 chat, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not the first DMR 101. That was the first live stream I ever did, but I've got at least 2 videos up on the channel that are recorded and uploaded videos. So go search my channel for DMR, just DMR 101. And there's a whole slide and section in there where I talk about DMR simplex. So if you've got questions about DMR simplex specifically, we do cover that in the 101 video. So.
And I'm finding that link for y'all really fast.
Okay, cool.
I found it. I just need to copy and paste it.
Let's see. Oh, somebody's still talking about our dark beer. I have a dark beer one time and it was sweet. Yeah, dark beers can be sweet. Some of them chocolate, peanut butter. This is really not dark. This is supposed to be red.
Yes.
But it's a red ale.
It's supposed to be a reddish ale. And again, this was from Twisted Spike in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And I really like that brewery, and it's going to be my go-to now every time I'm in their area for work.
BJ says, I think Talker Alias and nearby repeater search are hopefully what's coming down the road. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with the hope for that. Eventually we will hit 200,000 users in the database and there will be problems. Any thoughts on that? What problems? What problems are you referring to?
Maybe the type of database that is used.
The capacity of radios to hold that many contacts? No, I don't think that'll be a problem because the first radios we ever had would only hold 1,000. And then Connect Systems did a mobile radio that it would hold 64,000. And then TYT would do one that hold 100,000. And then several other companies did one that hold 150,000. And then 200,000. Right now, there's a lot of them that hold 200,000. The Anytone D578 mobile radio holds 300,000. So no, I don't think that'll be a problem. If that's your question, if I understand your question correctly, I don't think that'll be a problem at all. That's simply a firmware update. Some of these older radios will reach max capacity and not be able to hold the database anymore. Yes, that's true. There's new radios coming out every day. So, I mean, that's kind of like saying, well, I think the Yaesu FT101 EE is obsolete because it doesn't have a built-in sound card. Put a sound card on it, It's a great radio. Or buy an IC7300, built-in sound card, whatever. But yeah, no, I don't think the database being over 200K by itself will be a problem at all. I think radios will just adapt to that, and there'll be new radios that'll come out that'll hold that much capacity. But at the same time, Talker Alias being sent the way it's done on Fusion. Now, sort of the way it's done on Fusion. Fusion, you program your call sign into the radio when you buy a brand new Fusion radio and first boot it. That's the first thing it asks for. What's your call sign? That's what it in. It transmits that information. Let me tell you all something about Fusion real quick. Maybe you don't know. So DMR is a 12.5 kilohertz standard. 12.5 kilohertz, which is what we call an amateur radio narrowband. Okay, wideband's 25 kilohertz. Narrowband is half of that, 12.5 kilohertz. So DMR takes that 12.5 kilohertz standard and it splits it into 2 time slots, which are 6.25, which 6.25 is half of 12.5, okay? Stay with me here. So you've got time slot 1 at 6.25, time slot 2 at 6.25. Now, Fusion does the same thing. The difference between Fusion and DMR is that Fusion takes 6.25 kilohertz and uses it for voice, or what we call in amateur radio phone transmissions. It takes that other 6.25 kilohertz and it uses it for data. That's the GPS information you see coming across your screen when you're talking to someone on a Fusion network or repeater. So it does 6.25 phone, 6.25 data in DN mode, digital narrow mode. If you change it to VW mode, voice wide mode, it squelches the 6.25 data and it does 12.5 kilohertz of voice. So Fusion's doing almost exactly the same thing as DMR. They just don't have 2 phone time slots. They have a voice and a data channel going at the same time. You can do that in DMR. I could take one of my time slots on my Seabridge and say, we're going to add GPS to it and APRS, and we're just going to make this data, and everyone's going to talk on time slot 1, and you're going to have data on time slot 2.
But that's the prerogative of the repeater owner.
Well, it's repeater and Seabridge.
Yeah, it's
but
how the repeater owner configures their repeater.
Yes, but that would defeat the purpose of DMR, what we're always advertising about DMR, about turning the repeater into a double repeater, having 2 independent time slots that work at the same time and don't crash into one another. That's the beauty of DMR. It gives you twice as many talk groups Because you can only talk on one. A Fusion repeater and a D-Star repeater can only be connected to one Wires X room or one D-Star reflector at a time. And if there's something going on, and you want to call your buddy on this other reflector over here, and these guys are over here rag chewing for 20 minutes, you're out of luck. With a DMR repeater, you got somebody on time slot 1 rag chewing for 20 or 30 minutes, but time slot 2 is clear. Key it up and talk, and you don't have to worry about the other conversation.
If that talk group is entered as
right.
in
Well,
the,
yeah, but I'm talking about the technology.
Yep.
So
I was
anyway,
just trying to put some caveats there. Ken G asked a little bit ago, is there a ARL hotspot frequency list for using the hotspots?
not that I've ever seen.
So, but using the hotspots, though, you will be just programming as a simplex, find a simplex frequency that is free around you.
Correct.
And then
Yes.
you use that simplex frequency.
I put most of my hotspots on 433 dot something or 434 dot something megahertz. That's just where I put mine. 440 to 450 is generally considered the repeater segment of the band, so I try to stay out of that. And then anything, you don't want to get into the AMSAT segment or the CW segment or the sideband segment.
Well,
so
it's just like choosing a simplex frequency you want to use between you and your buddy.
Yeah.
You choose one that falls under the band plans.
Yeah.
And it's open. Be a good ham.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
Yep. Correct.
From there, we digressed into bourbons and whiskeys.
Somebody's missed a 512 pecan porter. That's good stuff right there. So Chris Cotter, KD5HIY is in the house. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us. I plugged the National Code Plug database on dmr-texas.net, and I plugged dmr-texas.net at the very beginning. So there's that.
Is he spewing some hatred there?
Who?
Chris.
No.
The forward error
full rate mode error correction on Fusion sucks. Yeah. It can. I've heard some bad stuff on there. Any thoughts on DMR Tier 3? Seems like it hasn't spread in amateur radio. I thought there were some data features. I don't know much about it. DMR Tier 3 simply means trunking. It takes your 2 time slots and it adds trunked frequencies to it. So you got a bank of 8 or 10 or 12 trunked frequencies and it acts as trunking. It's a waste of spectrum, in my opinion, for amateur radio. We don't adapt trunking in analog, so I highly, highly doubt we'll ever adapt trunking in DMR. I don't really see a point in it. You'd have to have basically 8 coordinated repeater pairs for your system. So I don't I don't. Frank needs another beer.
I do.
I wouldn't mind.
How much longer?
Wouldn't mind. Hey, we got 160 people watching. We're not going anywhere anytime soon.
All right.
So you guys keep the questions coming. For those of you who are, let me do this plug real quick. For those of you who are not here,
ooh, and they're cold.
Yeah, I hope so. A moment ago, those of you in North Texas, or maybe where North Texas is not such a far drive for you, we will be at the Irving Hamfest this coming Saturday, March 7th. Doors open at 8 a.m., I think. We'll be doing a live stream there about 10 a.m. There will be hourly door prizes. Oh, see, now I can see the list here. 9 a.m., they're going to give away an ICOM IC2300H. 10 a.m., an Alenco DJ MD5 TGP DMR handheld, dual band DMR handheld. So there you go. You guys are interested in DMR? They're giving away an Alenco dual band HT at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. At 11 a.m., they're giving away a DX Mini, which is this sucker right here. Really great hotspot. Just put up a video on my channel on Thursday about this hotspot. Really like it myself. And at noon, yeah, there it is. I thought they were giving away an FT. At noon, they're going to give away a Yaesu FT3D. And at 1, the grand prize is an IC7300. So if you are in the vicinity, or I guess right there, it says you can order raffle tickets. 1 for $5, 5 for $25. Well, that's, yeah, okay. Or no, those are Hamfest tickets. These are raffle tickets. 3 for $5, 15 for $25. So all these segments in between. You do have to be present to win any of those hourly door prizes. You do not have to be present to win the IC7300 grand prize, which it says right there. You must be present to win all door prizes except the IC7300. So there you go. Irving Hamfest.
And will you be bringing these glasses along with some hats? swag that people can pick up?
Did somebody ask that, or are you asking me that?
I'm asking you that.
Oh, you're
because,
asking me
that. Someone's also commenting on their liking my glass, so I was going to try
Yeah,
to plug it to see if you're going to be selling them at the Hamfest.
I should have glasses and hats, yes. I'm hoping to have a full T-shirt lineup at Hamcom, but that's not till June. So, yes.
No. That's going to be full of head.
No, it's not. You got to pour vigorously, man. Come on.
I did the perfect pour. Look at that. There is almost no head on that.
No, that's not perfect.
That is perfect. The sweet spot.
So, where am I? I lost my place here. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I've got those Ham Radio 2.0 glasses. They're for sale on grapevineamateurradio.com. But I will have them at the Hamfest this weekend, too.
I do not have that link.
Okay. Do you not?
No, I don't. I should have it.
All right. So, we've got... VK6MMB. No way I can get to Texas in time. He's in Australia. Yeah, it might be a little bit hard for you, man. That's good. Andy Cowley's in the house. Good day, Andy. Good to have you. Let's see. KG5YUX, Fort Worth. Saw you up there earlier. Let's see. KY5JAY is in the bourbon capital, Bardstown, Kentucky. Hey, there you go. There it is. Cool. All right, so people will talk about bourbon and where they are and the Irving Hamfest. JKW52 says, just saying hello, first time and enjoying the info, new to DMR and trying to get more smarter. N4IJL in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions and type them into the chat. Feel free.
So there's a guy trying to steal my name in the chat.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Tank. I saw that.
He used our videos to help him pass the general test last Thursday.
That is excellent.
So
that
awesome.
is excellent.
So what's your call sign? So you have a technician.
Right.
No, you be a/G now. So you can jump on the general bands already.
Yeah. So, yes, I just read something I was going to comment on. And, oh, yeah, okay, so y'all's videos to help me pass general exam. I don't really like to take credit for those videos because all I did was record them and post them. Those videos were created and put on for free by the Hearst Amateur Radio Club in Hearst, Texas, which is in Mid-Cities, about halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. And those guys down there do a fantastic job. Approve Jason's comment there.
Yep.
You see it?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Those guys do a fantastic job on technician and general classes twice a year, every year. They did an updated question pool for both of those last year. And yes, they are working, because somebody's going to ask, they are working on an extra class. So as soon as that extra class is up and ready and they put on a class, Frank and I will be attending, testing for it, and getting our extra upgrade and recording it. So,
yes,
yeah.
we will. We will. From Discord, Jeff says the closed captions reported Hamfest as Hempfest.
Hempfest?
No.
It's not a Hempfest.
No. In Texas? No.
No. Yeah, not in Texas for sure, yeah. So, yeah. Good deal. So.
And James says his wife says I need to speak up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What is the most popular band for DMR 2 meter 440? Definitely 440. In this area for sure.
It depends your area. Bob from RF Finder says it's regions. Regions tend to be one or the other.
It is, and that's true. But if you're talking about the United States as a whole, 440 is much more popular than 2 meters. There's about 75-80% of the DMR repeaters in the United States are on 440. And most of the time, the 2 meter repeaters are located in areas where 440 has more restrictions on it, like around the Canadian border and somewhere in California, a couple other places maybe. But mostly 440, but we got a couple of 2-meter repeaters in Texas.
And Noel says if that does happen, Steve's not going to be the only extra at Winter Field Day events we do.
Yeah. What difference does it make? We're using KN5TR anyway, and you're the owner of KN5TR, Noel.
Well,
so
he has to be present on scene.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's
conscious,
true.
I think. Maybe. We'll put enough bear in him. It won't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, BJ, okay. I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't want to offend anybody. BJ says, I wish you could hand out talk groups like IP addresses so everything would be accessible from any network without overlapping. I feel like repeater owners need to agree on a standard. Yeah, I kind of don't agree with that. Having a standard would be nice. The problem is that the people in charge of the standard, and I'm talking about Brandmeister here, okay? The people in charge of the standard don't want to regulate it. So the biggest problem we had when Brandmeister came along and number one, they recreated Talk Group 3148. 3148 is the Texas statewide talk group. It's existed as a DMR talk group in Texas since 2010. So 5 years before Brandmeister ever came online. Brandmeister came online and they duplicated our talk group we'd been using for 5 years. And we connected to them and had it all tied up as one talk group there for a little while, a couple weeks, I think, at the most. And we disconnected it because they were using the Texas statewide talk group as a worldwide talk group. Stations in Canada and New York, we're talking to stations in Missouri and California and stations overseas in the European Union. And I'm like, guys, none of y'all are in Texas. I mean, go elsewhere. There's 1,500 talk groups on Brandmeister. Why do you have to tie up the one that's meant for Texas users? So they have no regulation on their talk groups whatsoever. And that's the problem. The statewide talk groups, specifically talking about the statewide talk groups here, those are the ones, that's the biggest problem I have with Brandmeister. They don't want to regulate their statewide talk groups. They pipe them out to everybody in the world, including hotspot users, and they don't want to admin their own stuff. So in that regard, the Seabridge is a much better network because the Seabridge owners can decide where to send their statewide talk groups. Now, I'm not talking about worldwide and nationwide and regionals and all these other talk groups that, if a repeater owner wants to create a talk group of his own and pipe it all over the world, that's more power to him. I've got a couple of repeater owners on my Seabridge who I've done that for. No problem with that. But if you're talking about the statewide talk groups that were meant for Texas, Oklahoma, California, New York, Ohio, wherever, there's no reason to use that freaking talk group as a worldwide talk group, and that's the biggest issue I have with Brandmeister, is that they don't want to put any regulation behind it.
So tell us how you really feel.
I just did. So,
I have Roger. This is how you get my attention. KE4BFG.
Yeah.
Ham Radio 2.0.
Oh, that's
rocks.
Roger. Yeah, that's Roger.
Yep.
He's a longtime subscriber. We appreciate Roger being in the chat.
And then we have KC2EUN. I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied today. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
From Staten Island, New York. Welcome and good evening.
Mm-hmm. So William McDermott says DMR D-Star C4FM. Do you guys have a preference? Yeah, DMR. I'm a DMR fan. I don't dislike, and you say C4FM, you're talking about Fusion, I assume, which is there's other modes of C4FM, but I know what you mean. I like System Fusion in its own regard. I get on System Fusion and talk sometimes. D-Star, I've really not used very much. Not that I have anything against it. I just never found. None of my friends who I talk to on local repeaters are on D-Star, so I just never really got into it. I'm trying to change that for the purposes of my channel because I want to do more D-Star videos because that's what a lot of my viewers want to see. So I want to learn D-Star, but I make no apologies. I like DMR better. DMR is my favorite. That doesn't mean it's the best one out there. I think it is, but the other ones have merit also. So use whatever one you want. Andy Callie says, what do you think of Soda doing Digital Weekend? That would be freaking cool. If you were to do Soda, go up on a mountain and take a Yagi and do DMR simplex or fusion simplex or something like that. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I like that. Paul De Maroni. I hope I'm saying that right, man. Any 220 or other band for DMR? No, not yet. They're the new Anytone D578 tri-band radio will do 220 on DMR, but to my knowledge, there are no repeaters or hotspots that'll do 220 DMR. So you basically are limited to simplex at this time. Really big fan of the 220 band myself. Would really like to see something on there. We've got a lot of really excellent 220 analog repeaters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and in the Houston, Texas area as well. But they get used, but they don't get used enough, in my opinion. But it's a phenomenal band. I love the 220 band. Right, yeah. So Colin Zapalak. That's probably wrong on both accounts, right? Yeah, P25, which is C4FM, but not Yaesu C4FM. Yeah. So C4. So I've heard people say that DMR is C4FM. The difference between DMR and Fusion is that Fusion is FDMA and DMR is TDMA. So Mr. John Birmingham could tell me if I'm right about that or not, or at least the C4FM part. But yeah, P25 is a version of C4FM. Ron N5HYH is in the house. He just lives over here in Grapevine.
Noel's comment too about the soda and digital. It's going to be Boda Bites on the air.
Bites on the BYTES?
Yes.
Bites on the air. That's good. Yeah, I like that. Let's see.
DMR over HF?
Yeah, you can do D-Star and Fusion over HF. But since the big three, big four, I'll call them, don't make any DMR radios for amateur use, there's no HF radios that'll do DMR as of yet. So, yeah. Be fun, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the dual time slot would be something weird. I don't think it would work with HF properly. So you'd almost have to do like a simplex type thing, like a wideband, I think. I'm not sure. Sounds like fun. Sounds like something it'd be fun to experiment with. All-Star's cool. Some people talk about All-Star. Let's see. Phase 1 is C4FM. Phase 2 is exactly like DMR. Yeah, you're talking about P25. Yes. Well, C4FM and TDMA are not mutually exclusive, number one. So Fusion is like P25 Phase 1 in that it's single time slot, and DMR is like P25 Phase 2 where it's dual time slot. I don't think that has anything to do with the fact that it's C4FM or not. So C4FM, FDMA, TDMA, it's like saying apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. Yeah, okay, so John says C4FM is the modulation. Yeah, so basically, John, correct me if I'm wrong, C4FM is 4-level FSK, yes? And then the protocol is TDMA, FDMA, whatever old D-Star is, something like that. But yeah. Ron says DMR use FDFM and TDMA. Fusion is you're talking about FDMA, not FDFM. And DMR uses TDMA, not FDMA. Ron. Talking to Ron here. Chris said, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, so John Birmingham, the resident DMR expert, this man knows more than I do about DMR. C4FM is the modulation type 4-level FSK, which DMR is 4-level FSK. Look at the box that your TYT came in. It says 4-level FSK on the side of it. So C4FM is 4-level FSK, but then you've got TDMA, FDMA, and a couple others. So that's how similar these... That's why it's so easy to interchange all these modes on a hotspot. That's why you can you can take this open spot or this DX Mini, and you can use a Fusion radio to talk into the DMR network or a DMR radio to talk into the Fusion network. That's why it's so easy for the protocols to interchange, because they're that much different, and that's it. It's just instead of 101, it's 010 in a couple of different places, if you know binary, something like that. So they're very similar.
Paul, W4CPU is asking, is DMR good for emergency communications?
I think it can be if clubs and organizations were to adopt it. Yes, I think it could be. I think it would be. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because DMR is a commercial standard, and the police and fire department people already use it.
But they don't know they're using it. They know they're using a radio. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, that's
the same thing with an analog.
Doesn't matter.
You're
You're right. You're right. But who cares? It still doesn't change the fact that DMR is being used for police and fire departments.
I do give you. It does have the added bonus of we set up one repeater and we have two people talking.
Correct. Yeah.
And we can go ahead and subdivide those frequencies with talk groups and do technical tech channels. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just had to be on the other side for a bit here.
My wife's in the chat and Noel's talking to her.
I was wondering how long it's going to take you to see that.
Oh, I saw it. Noel says, does he pay you to come visit here? My wife won't even come into the room while I watch the live stream. That's because your wife doesn't like listening to me, Noel. This doesn't have anything to do with you. Actually, she probably doesn't like Frank.
What?
But
Everybody loves me.
Motorola 5550E versus Kenwood NX 5800. Kenwood. Why do you say Kenwood? Oh, I'm glad you asked. The Kenwood will do analog, which the Motorola will do. The Kenwood will do NXDN, P25, and DMR. Okay? The Motorola is just DMR. So, now, the Kenwood only does, it'll do FM analog and 2 modes. When you buy the Kenwood, it comes with FM and NXDM. You can buy entitlement keys for P25 and for DMR. Once you enable P25 and DMR, it squelches the NXDN side. So you can't use all 3 modes in one radio. You have to pick 2. NXDN and P25, P25 and DMR, NXDN and DMR, whatever. And FM. FM's always there.
Why you got to pick 2?
That's just the way they built the radio. I don't know. They didn't tell me.
Aww.
But, yes, I have an NX 5800. I bought the entitlement key for P25 and DMR because in this area, we don't have any NXDN stuff on amateur radio in this area. If your fire department uses NXDN and you want a radio that'll do your fire department, but you also want a DMR radio, 5800, man. The Next Edge series Kenwoods are great. But we have like 3 or 4 P25 repeaters on DMR, 440 DMR, blah, blah. P25 repeaters on 440 ham radio in Dallas-Fort Worth. And there's a few more down in the Houston area. So we have a lot of DMR down here, and we have some P25. So I wanted a radio that would do both, and that's why I chose the Kenwood. Let's see. DMR is the standard in Europe recorded radio reference. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, DX Mini. Jason DX Mini, he has Kenwood NX series. He's a big Kenwood fan. Where the Next Edge. Motorola, I got a lot of Motorola radios, man. I'm not dogging the Motorola radio, but that Next Edge is freaking sweet. Let's see. DMR is awesome around here, despite being on DMR-marc. So, BJ, where are you?
He's in UK. He said earlier in the chat. He's up there in Europe. Somewhere.
Well, he says New England here.
New England?
That's what you can light up hundreds of repeaters in New England from one regional talk route. Great for Incom. Let me know where you are because I don't know if you're actually talking about DMR-marc or if you're talking about C-bridged repeaters. Hopefully you saw that part of the presentation. Let's see. How do you make your own AM radio station? I don't know. Never tried it.
Well, it's easy. Get an HT, put in an AM, and there you go.
Is Starlink going to put DMR and others out of business? I doubt it because I don't know what Starlink is.
Starlink is the SpaceX satellite mega cluster they're doing for internet access across the world.
It sounds to me like it would boost DMR. If you could get internet access across the world, you just put a DMR repeater on it and talk anywhere you want to.
Yeah. A bit, but it's just the question is, it's going to put regular ISPs out of the business. I'm hoping it's going to put a hurt on them to drop their prices and give us more bandwidth and truer speeds that the world's accessing. And I'm going to get off my soapbox there.
Yeah, BJ's in Maine, so I don't know if those are actual.
I'm sorry, BJ.
I don't know if those are actual DMR-marc repeaters or if you're just talking about a C-bridge network up there. I'm not familiar with that area. Memory restrictions on the Kenwood. John, what are you talking about? You mean the number of channels, number of subscribers? Because neither one of those, that Kenwood NX5800 and the Motorola 5550, neither one of them will hold the entire database. Last I checked, the 5550 only hold 1,000 contacts, 1,000 channels. That's the 4550 I know. The 5550 may be a little bit more than that. The NX5800 I think will hold, I think you can get a key for it where it'll expand it to 10,000 contacts, but neither one of those will hold the entire database, though, I'm sure.
I like Michael's comment earlier. Says, real men have beards.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, you're talking about the limit of 2 digital. It's because of a memory issue. Okay, all right, I got you. I'm on the same page now. Still a really cool, still a really cool thing. So, 151 still talking. Where are we? We're going an hour, over an hour and a half. Kenwood has talker alias on receive, no need for the database. Does that work through the C-Bridge repeaters, Jason? I wonder if there's a way to turn that on in the C-Bridge repeaters, because I'll turn it on in my freaking C-Bridge. Because I know that you can use that through a hotspot. I know you can use talker alias through a hotspot. But is there a way to turn it on a C-Bridge connected repeater? That's the question that I have.
Back to the Starlink, he did comment on he's worried about how Starlink going to affect the future of ham radio. I don't think it's going to affect the future of ham radio. It's going to affect the future of the internet.
Yes.
And maybe cell phone service. Which cell phones are already hurting the ham radio community.
Yes and no. I don't know. People who understand what ham radio is, I still maintain. Now, I haven't looked this up in 3 or 4 years, but I looked up the ARRL statistics of the number of licensed hams in the USA since 2006, which 2006 is when they removed the code requirements completely from the general and extra exams.
Yes.
And when I looked, and I think it's been like 3 or 4 years ago, I looked up the number of licensed hams in the USA since 2006 has been on a steady rise. So I need to look up and see if that's still true or not. So, yeah.
But I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
I was commenting on
the
his other
glider rider.
Yeah, glider.
I don't know who that
rider.
is, but
is DMR a good way to meet chicks? I'm just going to default answer of ham radio is not a good way to meet chicks.
Right.
It is your hobby and pastime and passion after you have one already.
Yeah. Yep.
And I agree with Noel. Zello is not radio.
No, Zello's not radio. So, cool. Well, any more DMR questions, guys? I know that we had a couple of radio questions in there, which are good. Cool.
Oh, sweet. Bill.
Yeah.
K5LUO
Just reading that.
says his call for the
Tecumseh. Tecumseh is how you say that.
High school in Oklahoma, and the call sign there is K5THS, has been accepted for a ARIS contact. AR, what does AR mean there? Oh, it could be amateur radio.
Amateur radio.
Yeah, that makes sense. For the fall. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super jealous.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have that in high
on
school.
site their DMR, D-Star, HF, UHF, and VHF.
Yeah.
And they allow the kids to get on there and talk. That is an awesome outreach program. And
yes, that's really
I'm
cool.
super jealous.
Yeah, that's really good. KE8 NKO says, what talk group do you use most often? Texas Statewide 3148. That's the one I've been on most. Now, I have been hanging out on the R-Finder talk group on Brandmeister here a little bit. R-Finder has their own talk group, which is talk group number 31770. Been hanging out there a little bit lately.
I was just by there. That's close to Oklahoma City where I was last week.
Oh, yeah.
I was Googling it.
Yeah. So, but that's usually Texas statewide in the state of Texas, which we don't is not piped outside of the state of Texas, and you can't get to it from Brandmeister. So, KG5DGG. Anyone having problems with the BTEC 6x2 software? Mine freezes up and stops working. No. Never had that problem with my BTEC 6x2. Make sure you got the latest firmware on it. W4 CPU. Any nationwide DMR nets? Yes, tons of them. Tons of them. There's a bunch of DMR nets out there.
Is there? Go ahead.
There used to be a list of them on a Facebook group, and I haven't seen that updated in a while. I haven't looked at it in a while. Maybe it's been updated, but I think it got to the point where there were so many of them out there that people just stopped keeping count of them. But yeah, that's.
Is there a way to text with DMR? Michael
Yes.
asks. I tried but got nowhere with it on a TYT MD380.
Yeah, you can do that. You got to make sure your repeater and or your hotspot is set up to do it.
And wherever you're trying to send it to.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's- so
If
you
you're
have to- Go ahead.
Well, okay, so when you say text, you can send a text message from one radio to another radio, and both of those radios have to be on. So you can't send a text message to somebody's cell phone if that's what you're asking. So if I wanted to text Frank on his radio, I could text him. If we were standing next to each other, I could text him on Simplex. If we were connected to a repeater that allowed SMS messaging, I could do that. So it really kind of depends on where you are. Yeah, you can't send text messages like to a cell phone, to a smartphone. You can...
You might be able to set up auto scripts to do that, but
there's already auto scripts programmed into most of these radio. Well, you're talking about back-end scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to do that.
I had another one, but I lost it.
That's all right.
I think we already talked about the difference between DMR-marc and Brandmeister.
Yeah, I saw that question. Yeah, I don't know if somebody's playing around or if they just got here, but yeah, start this video over at the very beginning. If you're serious about that question, that's what the whole video presentation's about. We're in the question and answer part now.
Chris Coulter says he accidentally sent a text message to the worldwide talk group by accident.
Yeah, that didn't. Well, first of all, your text message only goes to one person, but if you're sending it to the ID of one, then no, it didn't go through. They have that blocked. Don N5SKT, thanks for joining us. If Texas statewide is not piped out of Texas, how is it still on Brandmeister's Texas statewide? Because Brandmeister duplicate. I went over that a minute ago, but I'll answer that again. N4XLD, because yeah, you got tax, not text. Because Brandmeister duplicated our talk group that we had for 5 years before they were ever online. They call it Texas statewide, but it's not. It's not connected to the original Texas statewide. It causes a lot of confusion, and the fact that has happened and is still going on today is one of the reasons I created this presentation in the first place. So there's a Texas statewide 3148 that was originated on the Lone Star Sea Bridge in 2010, and it's still there today. It's been there for 10 years, and that's the one we use that's piped to all the repeaters in the state of Texas. And then when Brandmeister came along in 2015, they recreated all these statewide talk groups, even the ones that were already in use. A good example is Indiana, New York, Florida, Oklahoma. Several of these states already had DMR up and running on various Sea Bridge networks, and we were using them. And then Brandmeister came on and duplicated them. And some states connected to them and some states didn't. And Texas did not. We did for a short period of time, but then when we found out they were using it as a worldwide talk group and it was holding rag chews between people in California and Canada and overseas and not being used as a Texas talk group, we disconnected from it. So we keep the purity of our Texas statewide talk group that's existed for 10 years. just on the Texas repeaters. You can get on Brandmeister and talk on 3148, but we're not going to hear you in Texas on our actual repeater network.
So, can I connect to it outside the Texas
You
repeater
can.
network?
It's piped to several different networks, including Chicagoland, K4USD, and I think it still goes to the Crossroads network as well. So yes, you can if you have a repeater connected to one of those networks I just said, but you can't from a hotspot. You actually can from a hotspot, but long story. It's better just to easier say you can't from a hotspot. BJ, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you giving us your honest opinion about the repeaters in your area. So you were very
candid.
Well, yes, but he was very polite about it. Yeah, he gave us his opinion, but he didn't start calling names, which you'll see this isn't Facebook, so I wouldn't expect it. You know, people get on Facebook and rail about stupid crap all the time, but yeah, no, thank you for asking the questions. It's probably questions that a lot of people had. Are the Japanese going to jump in the DMR market? They're already there. Kenwood makes DMR radios. Let's see. SMSGTE. Oh, I thought that was a call sign. That's not a call sign. Do you ever hang out on Texas Nexus via DMR? Sometimes, Don, sometimes, but not usually. I haven't been on there in a while. I should try it again. Last couple of times I drove to Belton, I had my Fusion radio in my truck talking on that talk group, because if you go from Dallas-Fort Worth all the way to Austin, you can hop repeaters and stay on that talk group the whole time. It's kind of fun.
That's pretty cool.
I've actually got a video on that called Bound for Belton. It was recorded a couple years ago. I think they can do AB5CC repeater in Durant. I don't know what that's... Our VK DMR network doesn't provide talker alias. Can they? Is it just their choice not to? Yeah. Alan, I don't know which network you're using, but most likely they can. It might kind of be tricky to set it up, but yeah, most likely they can. Jose, you says, how about the open spot? I don't know what you're talking about. KA5BEZ, I think they can through the AB5CC repeater in Durant. I don't know what you're talking about there either. But y'all are probably talking one another, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. You don't have to.
Drill KJH.
Yeah, I was just about to read that.
From Southeast Texas. He didn't give us his name, but just passed the tech class Thursday. Congratulations. Does not have a call sign yet.
Awesome.
A lot of the stuff he said we've been talking about sounds Greek. You hang around, you start to absorb it, understand it. I hope you have a good amateur radio club out there. That's the best way to learn.
Yes.
Get with a local amateur radio group, and that's one of my highest recommendations I do have for a new ham radio out there. And don't really let a lot of people bully you into expensive radio sets. It's more important to get on the air and get your feet wet before you go out and drop a lot of money.
Correct.
But those are my 2 cents. Take it or leave them.
Agreed. So, IKO4, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining. I want to win that repeater from Bridgecom. I hope you saw my tweet today I sent out. I did. Everyone go to Bridgecom's website and sign up to win their new repeater package they're giving away. I don't get anything for that. That's totally their thing. I signed up myself, and one of the ways to enter was to share a tweet, and I did that earlier today. So go to bridgecomsystems.com, I think it is, and just right there on the front page, sign up for their repeater giveaway. Yes, Colin says pretty much everyone but ICOM makes DMR radios. That's correct. ICOM does make P25 radios. Are you going to be selling any of your brand items at Belton? Paul, it's most likely I will not be at Belton. Now, if the weather's nice, I may go down there on Friday and set up a swap table in the parking lot, but I will be driving home that night because I have plans on Saturday. So I'm going to let the weather decide whether I'm there on Friday or not. If the weather's nice, I'll probably be there. N4XLD says, so no hotspot can connect to Texas statewide? Yes and no. I talked about earlier in this stream, I talked about a piece of software made by the DV Switch guys called HB Link, DMR Link, and if you set that up and run that to a C bridge, yes, you can connect a hotspot to Texas statewide. I have that set up on my C bridge, and I've used it multiple times. I'm actually doing some updates on it right now, so it's not up at this moment. But I've shared that with some people who I know in Texas. I don't want it shared outside of Texas because I don't want it to turn into another free-for-all the way that Brandmeister does their stuff. But is it possible? Yes. Is it done? Kinda. Not really, but kinda. So we kind of have... It works great when it's set up. I just don't have it set up right now. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Is D-Star, Fusion, DMR all very different as far as learning? Not necessarily.
No, once you start understanding one, you can start understanding the others pretty fast. A lot of them work on the same technologies on the back end. They're just tweaked or tuned a different way to make them unique, and you can't use that. Use one frequency along with the other. Because, these radio makers want to do their own thing. They can't give us a single codec we can all use.
Right. Okay. I got my DMR ID. Now I'm somebody. That's good. I like that.
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. You know what? I didn't... is my repeater on?
You got me.
I don't remember. So I got a Bridgecom repeater inside with running MMDVM Pi-Star on it. And it is connected to my C bridge. And you're going to see some videos on putting all that mess together upcoming on the channel. So
N2XDD asks from Discord, are C bridges expensive? How much are they?
Yeah, so a C bridge is so the software for a C bridge is about $700, and it comes with licenses to connect 5 repeaters. Then you can upgrade that license to 15 repeaters, and then to 30 repeaters, and then the 50 repeaters. So it's a cost for every upgrade. So it's not something something that most people want to spend money on, which is okay because there's usually Some people have said to me, I should incorporate this into the presentation. Some people have said to me in the past that Brandmeister is free to connect to, and a C-Bridge charges you to connect to. At some point, somewhere, somehow, that's probably been true, but I have never met a C-Bridge operator, a C-Bridge owner, that required you to pay money to connect your repeater to their C-Bridge. Now, I've had repeaters connected to Lone Star. I own my own C-Bridge now, and I've never charged anyone. I ask for donations. I say if you can afford to donate, it will help offset the costs. And the repeater owners on my C-Bridge have been very generous. Okay, but I don't require them. I've never required them. If they want to donate, fine. If they don't, that's fine. Here you go. Here's a connection. I've had before I had my C-Bridge, I had repeaters connected to Lone Star, to the Dillo Intertie Network, to Crossroads in Indiana, to K4USD, and to, that might be all. Yeah, I think that's all. So, and I never paid a licking dime to any of those guys. Now, some of them would ask for donations, and I think I donated to one or two of them by choice, but no one ever required me to pay money to connect my repeater to their C-Bridge. So having said that, I got an email from a guy in New York, in Rochester, New York, about a week ago. And he's like, hey, I'm putting up a repeater. Can I connect to your Texas C-Bridge? And I'm like, sure, why not? He's like, I'll send you some money if you want it. I'm like, you're not required to, but I'd appreciate it because it does cost money. But it's a one-time charge. It's a one-time fee. You buy it and it's yours. Upgrades are all free, no problem. So I consider it like buying a radio or buying a repeater. Repeaters aren't free. So,
Glidewriter asks, is the Balfane 1701 a good radio? And I put this in the chat already. It's a decent radio along with most Baofengs. They're a great radio to get your start on, get your feet wet with amateur radio. But are there better radios out there? Yes. But if that's something you can only afford right now, or you wanted just to try the hobby out, yeah, they're great radios.
Mm-hmm. Well, the 1701, generally speaking, Noel is correct. There's just not a lot of them out there, so code plugs are hard to find, and they're not supported by the N0 GSG contact manager, which is one of the contact managers I like to use. So finding a code plug for one is hard to do. You can build your own, of course, if you know how to do that. But you might be, if you're new to DMR, you might be better off with something with a model of radio that you can get a code plug, share a code plug from a friend from. Yeah. Message retracted.
Yeah, I was just about to read that, Chris. He did recommend the Yaesu FT4D as an alternative, but I don't know why he's retracting it now.
Because there is no such thing as the FT4D.
Oh.
I don't know what he meant by that.
Okay, well then maybe that's why it was retracted.
I've got a IK04. I forget your name, dude. I should know your name. Sorry. YouTube member. Oh, let me talk about that. I'll talk about that in just a second. I just recorded a video this week about updating the BTEC 6x2 to firmware 2.01. I just did that on this dude right here.
Another What's going on? What are you doing?
I haven't posted it yet, but I recorded it and it'll be up on the channel soon. Explain what the code plug is and does. I don't care. I don't. Okay. So a code plug is nothing more than a computer file. If you've ever used Chirp or RT Systems to program an analog radio, you open up the software, you type in all your repeater stuff, you go to File Save, and you save it on your hard drive somewhere. That file on your hard drive is a code plug. And then you plug your radio into your computer via USB cable, open up the software, you open that file you made, and you shoot that information into the radio. That's a code plug. That's the only thing a code plug is.
And it's just think of it as Excel with tabs that relate to other information or slots in another Excel spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So if you're used to using Excel, then you can get around pretty easily.
What in the world do y'all talk about an FT4D? What the heck is that? Yaesu FT4D?
Well, FT4 is an analog only.
Yeah. Google says, did you mean Yaesu FT3D? What's an FT4? I've never heard of an FT4. FT411. That's an old radio. I don't know what a Yaesu.
How about just an FT4?
I don't know what an FT4 is. FT4 is a mode in HF like FT8. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Let's see. Chris, are you thinking about sharing out that CP Pro? Yeah, Chris, I talked about that earlier. I think it was before you joined. I think we're going to do a... You know what? I might wait. Okay. I want to share Chris's video first.
Okay.
And then I talked about doing programming a code plug from scratch on my next live stream, but I want to put your video up first.
Because he cares.
Yeah.
He cares about you, not me.
And I've already got my next 2 weeks of videos planned. And so we might do the code plug programming video on the first weekend in February. April instead of next week. Yeah. So yes, Chris, I'm gonna that will be it. Yeah.
So Chris has been on your live stream. He was one of the teachers. In one of
that wasn't a live stream, but
not live stream, but on your channel.
Yes.
I misspoke.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Don and Glide Rider. Yeah, you're talking about the FT4X that Hashnazi did like a week ago. Well, not even that long. 3 or 4 days ago.
Hashnazi.
Yeah, I guess that's the new. Well, I say it's new. It's been out over a year. That radio's not new, But yeah, it's kind of like their new entry-level analog-only dual-band radio. So looked like it was a sweet, pretty sweet little HT. But yeah, go to Ham Radio, go to YouTube and search for Ham Radio Crash Course and look at one of his most recent videos. He's on our YouTubers bunch. That's Josh from our YouTubers bunch. He did a review on that FT4X radio just like 3 or 4 days ago, something like that. So good video, really in-depth review, I should say. Yeah. Have not heard about any cool new DMR radios, BJ? No. But I mean, there's new stuff coming out all the time. Fusion has a new FTM 300 coming out. Mobile radio, dual band mobile Fusion radio. Yazoo. Already got one on order. So, my buddies over at RNL Electronics are going to send me one. So real good folks over there. So let me say real quick, we're gonna wrap this up here in a minute. I am going to, because this was a huge success when I shared this last time. Let me look here. I'm gonna go over here. Membership studio. So recently, within the last couple months, I should say, I was able to, through no chance of my own, but I was blessed, I'll put it that way, with the ability to add YouTube members to my channel. It's something that YouTube doesn't do to all the channels, but they do the channels that are kind of like have a lot of subscribers or have a lot of not a lot of. They used to do it with channels only with 100,000 subscribers or more, and they changed that a while back. And now I don't know how they pick them anymore. So with the YouTube membership, you get a few perks in here. So Mr. John Birmingham just joined. It looks like he joined 2 days ago. Mike Toby, KM4HSD, Philip, of course, W0RHP, KC3LEE, IK4, William Fogel, Tom Clark, Alberta, West County, Jay Williams, Stephen Easley, Mark Gay, Thomas Willis, Gary Kitchen, Jerry Lavoie, Mike Clemens. Those are all my YouTube members right now. So what YouTube membership gets you? If you are a YouTube member and you have not sent me your email address, because YouTube doesn't tell me, it tells me your name or your account name, which is what you just saw there. Send me your email address and I'll add you to my monthly newsletter. It's separate from my email list. I do a monthly newsletter that tells you about stuff that I'm planning to do or working on that I don't send out to the regular email guys. Additionally, you get early access to videos. Right now, I have about 4 or 5 videos posted that have not gone public yet that have only been shared to my YouTube members and my Patreon subscribers. Patreon and YouTube, they all get the same stuff. So YouTube membership, which starts at $1.99 a month and goes up from there. YouTube membership and Patreon membership gets you early access to videos and access to the newsletter that I sent out a couple times in 2019, but officially I started it in January of this year, and I'm going to keep going with that. It's going to add some cool stuff, cool value to the channel, I think. So I've got some good feedback on it, so I'm happy with that. Did you want to say something, Frank? I thought I heard you.
Oh, I was going to say I was also keying up. I probably don't want to show that. Keying up on your Patreon, which you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Patreon at patreon.com/hamradio.
Right.
I put the link in the chat there. Mm-hmm. And you're getting it pulled up here.
I'm getting it pulled up right now.
There's also the super chats. You can go ahead and donate to us at a one-time donation through the super chat like Noel did earlier.
Yes.
And give us a little bit of money that way.
Yep.
Give him money that way.
Well,
Don says, as soon as the bank gives me a new credit card.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Okay. So, blah, blah, blah. Let me see here. So, yeah. So, I want to take a minute here and thank all my patrons. And let's see. Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. So, let's go over here. Or, no, that's wrong. And I'm going to read all my current active faces. So, Andy, A-N-D-I-E. Anoop, Bill Brady, K5LK, Bo Thomas, CJ Griggs, Dan Knutz, probably saying his name wrong, Danny Feemster, Dave Carter, Dave Johnson, Dave Ginsberg, David Kedrick, Mr. Kitty5DK, Doug Berkey, Earl Richardette, if I said that right, Evan Hartman, Farrell Hamill, Howard Clayton, James Dowis, who was in the chat earlier, Jason Jenkins, Jeff H., Jim Davis, Jim Foster, Jimmy Poindexter, John DiLiberto, John Gilbert, K5PDC, Kenneth Fowler, Klaus Janscht, probably said that wrong, Leon Davidson, Lewis Klein, LNX Guy, Lyle, Michael Infrato, Mike in Texas, Mike Willis, Paul De Maroni. He was in the chat earlier as well. Paul Sweeney, Phil Rowland, Philip Orr, Quicksilver, Randall Hensley, Richard Donald, Richard Edge, Richard Swartz, Robert Bretzman, Scott Plockett, SMC, and William Hawk Bennett. Those are my current patrons who donate generously to the stream, and I'm very grateful for. And again, they get access to the monthly newsletter and also to early access to videos that I post on YouTube that will eventually be made public. But right now, those guys have 4 or 5 videos that nobody else has seen yet. So it's fun to have that ability to do now because my channel's grown to the point that it has. All right, guys, we're going to be shutting it down because we've been going more than 2 hours, which I could talk all night about this stuff, especially with 143 people watching. The numbers tonight have been awesome. Special thanks to everybody who joined us tonight.
He saw it spiked at one point as 160.
I think I saw 163.
163.
Yeah,
wow.
I think I saw 163, which is definitely the largest live stream we've ever done. So DMR, that's where the ticket is. So last month 2 weeks ago we just kind of talked about nothing. We just ad-libbed in the camera for an hour to hour and a half, and about 75 people joined us there. But it does a lot better when we have an actual subject.
Yes, but that was also us telling you what we got teeing up and what we're going to be doing for the next couple of months.
That's true.
So those are good informational ones to have, and also to interact with y'all.
Right. Correct.
And to get your feedback so that you can tell us what you want so we can continue to giving good
That's correct. Yeah.
YouTube videos.
Any suggestions, especially from the patrons of the YouTube members, any suggestions for future episodes, either an uploaded video or a live stream, are welcome. I'm not going to promise I'll get to all of them, but I've got some really good suggestions from videos from my subscribers before. Every time someone joins Patreon, I go in there and I say, hey, let me know if you want to see any specific topic, and I've got some really good suggestions that way. So really, real good stuff there. So yeah, we're gonna shut it down here. 73 to everybody. People are starting to jump because I said that a minute ago, and really appreciate everyone joining tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, any questions? We're both good on QRZ. We will be live.
I will be one day.
You're good on QRZ. I thought you. Are you not?
No.
Oh. Yeah, you need to do that. If you ever want to do HF, you need to be going on QRZ.
One day.
And we will be live from the Irving Ham Fest this coming Saturday. So 73 to everyone. And thanks for watching tonight. We're going to shut it down. You guys have a good evening.
We'll see you at the Ham Fest.
See you at the Ham Fest.